This is my 2001 Ferrari 360 Modena, and in this video I want to respond to Samcrac and his recent videos about the salvage auction 360 that he purchased.
Oh, there was a little bit of a surge in power there. Okay, it's really jumpy. Yeah, there's a huge delay in shifting. Again, wow, somebody let me know in the comment section, is that normal for this car? And I'll be honest, I don't know if maybe there is something wrong with the clutch or something, but it doesn't shift like a really fast transmission like you'd expect in F1.
I bought this 2001 Ferrari 360. I bought her over a year ago, and it was my very first Ferrari. I couldn't believe it, right? It's like a dream come true. I grew up looking at this, staring at this on my bedroom wall with tons of posters on the internet. I read about it in Car and Driver, and it finally came true. Now, fast forward 15 years, and it's still amazing to look at. Every time I open my garage, I still get mesmerized by the looks. Now, in terms of my response to Samcrac, I noticed I've never watched his channel before until he posted those videos, and I was very impressed. He seems to be a mechanic. He seems to run his own shop, and he seems to buy a lot of cars, salvage cars for cheap, which he fixes it up and then makes it into his own. Now, in terms of Ferrari he bought, it seems like everything was good until it wasn't. He had problems with the Immobilizer, which I'm going to address while I'm driving in the car. Also, he had other issues about the F1 transmission and how there may be problems, and he had some buckling issues and just overall comments from basically a new Ferrari 360 owner, which a lot of Ferrari 360 owners have the very same questions. I had those questions, and after spending a year with my Ferrari, I think I can answer those, and that is why I'm making this video as a response to the 3 videos he has posted, which have gained millions upon millions of views. And I know a lot of you guys watching this probably have the same questions, wondering if Sam's car just is a lemon and needs proper tuning, or there's problems with it, or if that's just how a Ferrari 360 is. So I'm gonna hop in, go for a drive, and talk about some of the things I've noticed Sam said, and I'm gonna respond to him. So enjoy. All right, so those of you guys that haven't watched me or my channel, I bought my 360. This is a 2001 Ferrari 360 Modena. I bought this over a year ago, and I haven't driven it that much, but I do have some experience now. I know the little intricacies and little weird things that that comes along with this car, and that is why I am making this response video to Samcrac, who recently bought a salvage Ferrari 360. He said he bought it at a really low price, which I don't know how much, but obviously he thought it was a good deal, and he put a lot of work into it, right? The wheels were bent, there was some kind of frame underneath that was bent and he had to fix, and there's a whole lot of other stuff with oil, transmission fluid, and everything that he had to go through, and he has gotten a lot of views. I haven't seen a lot of videos with a lot of views on Ferrari 360 simply because it's an old car. This is a 2001. The last year they produced a 360 was in 04. So you do the math, and it's been 15 years since this car has been out. But for me, I still love it. I still gawk over it. Every time I open the garage door and look at it, I'm just amazed by the shape, the color, how low it is, how wide it is, everything about it. I'm just in love with it. But anyways, it was obvious that Sam hasn't driven a 360 before. And in his last video, where he actually did start it up and he drove around the parking lot, he made some comments, and I noticed a few things, and these are the little things that a first-time 360 owner would not be aware of, and he asked people to comment on some of the things he asked. So instead of commenting, I'm making a response video because I do have some experience with this car now. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the immobilizer, which is really weird, okay? Unlike a normal alarm system in a car, if the car's locked, it's on. If the car's unlocked, it's off, okay? So if the car is unlocked in your garage, you get in, you can start it up. You don't have to worry about that because it's in your garage. That's not the case with the 360. Immobilizer, it actually activates if you have the car off. I believe it's after 30 seconds or a minute. So a lot of times, and I still do this now, you get into your 360 and you start it up and it's just cranking and will not start. And that's because of the immobilizer. So even the car's unlocked, you have to press the button on the key fob to disable that immobilizer. And if something happens to that system, your car is not going to start. When I first got this car in my driveway, I kept cranking it and I'm like, why does that not start? And then I remembered immobilizer. So that is just one thing that you have to be aware of. At one part, I noticed Sam, he was kind of jerking, like the car was buckling. He wasn't sure if that was like normal. And that comes with any manual or semi-manual car like this, and I can even demonstrate it. It's because you're going at low speeds and you're not being consistent with the throttle. So for example, I'm in second gear right now, and if I let go, you notice how it's buckling, right? Because, you see that? I mean, it's because in a manual car or 6-speed or 7-speed, 8-speed or any of these that are not automatics, without a torque converter, right? You have to make sure you have a consistent throttle down when you're driving it. And if you don't, you go get that buckling if you're not consistent with the throttle because it's that touchy. And that comes not only with the Ferrari 360, with any manual car out there, right? Even a Honda Civic will minimize those kind of effects, but it won't eliminate it. So that's something you still have to be aware of. Now, the other thing he's talked about was due to the F1 transmission, which I wanted to talk about because I feel like the F1 transmission is very misunderstood. A lot of people don't know how to drive it. So I want to talk about that really quick. Now, the F1 transmission, those of you guys that aren't aware, is a semi-manual single clutch gearbox, okay? So it's trying to mimic a manual, but without a clutch pedal, okay? So the characteristics are the same. You don't get the same kind of power. You get the same kind of power loss as a manual, which is not a lot because you don't have the torque converter, and then you still get to control the shifts. The car will not shift for you. Also, rev matches for you. If you're downshifting, you don't have to worry about rev matching, which a lot of manuals these days have, but back in the day, that was not really an option. It still kind of mimics how a normal manual would be, which means that if you're trying to shift gears, you want to let off the throttle a little bit, okay? And that's one thing that most people don't do because they kind of drive it like an auto. They consistently have the pressure down, they're accelerating while shifting, which you can do, but it's just not going to be that smooth. You're going to feel it, right? Like you will feel that jerk. And that's also something that people don't know. They don't know how to drive that way at the beginning, and neither did I. And it's kind of like an art. Once you get used to how to make like an F1 gearbox smooth, it's like almost a game. Like that's what you want to do, and you can get it smooth, but it just takes some time. These type of transmissions are very, very picky when it comes to temperature. If the car is cold, sorry, I'm gonna mute that. If the car is cold, it does weird things. It's hydraulic activated, and when it's cold, it just does not shift right. And that's one of the things you got to watch out for. That is why a lot of Ferrari owners, they warm up their car for a long period of time. I'm talking about, 15, 20, 30 minute plus, and that's because a lot of it is due to the transmission, because it just doesn't shift right when it's cold, and also because you want the engine and engine oil to properly warm up before you do any high revs. Now, going back with this kind of single clutch setup, it's not going to be as fast or as smooth as a dual clutch, and it's not going to be as fast or as smooth as an auto, okay? Because auto is really smooth because of the torque converter, and dual clutch already has the next gear engaged so that if you're shifting, it's pretty lightning quick. Drove with 458, and honestly, I felt like you could daily drive that car. I mean, it was that good, that smooth. But the drawback is you lose some of that excitement, you lose some of that fun because of how smooth it is. I felt like Sam kind of didn't know, never driven a single clutch gearbox before, because a few times he noticed or he commented about, oh, it's really slow to shift, right? And the F1 transmission in the 360, according to specs, shifts about 250 milliseconds. That's how long it takes to shift. You're going at low speeds, it's not going to use the full pressure to engage the clutch and to shift. That's something that a lot of people don't realize also, is that 250 milliseconds is at max, at full throttle. Now, if you're going at low speeds or half throttle, quarter throttle, it doesn't engage that quickly. So that is the reason why if you're going slow, you might think it's even slower, because Ferrari did that on purpose, trying to make the car shift as smooth as possible. Now, the CS edition, the Challenge Stradale, which is more of an extreme race version of the 360, and it goes for at least double or triple the price of a regular 360. That transmission, the hardware is actually different, and it shifts about 150 milliseconds. You know, I'm not going fast. I'm going about 40 miles per hour. You can see, hopefully the camera catches this. Here's a downshift. Downshifts are almost instantaneous, and then here's an upshift, right? It's pretty smooth. You don't really feel it. And I'm not even in sport mode, right? So again, downshift, third gear. Now I'm on throttle a little bit. 4, 5, 6, right? That was pretty smooth. So you just gotta get used to it. Now, some of you guys watching might be thinking, oh, you should have got a manual, skip all this, you know, single clutch nonsense, right? That is true. Like, if I had to do it again, I'll probably get a 6-speed manual, because I do think it's more fun. I've been doing car reviews for over 6 months now, and whenever I test out a gearbox where you have to manual shift, and I just feel like it's more fun, especially for a weekend car, one that you're not gonna daily drive. Definitely the way to go. Now, with that said though, getting a manual 360 is not easy. First of all, there's not that many 360s being sold, but to find a manual 360, it's tough. And if you do find one, expect to pay probably double what a 360 is. Now, granted, on the flip side, if you do have one, you should probably hold on to it, because the value is only going to increase. So here's a good straightaway here. Let me downshift a little bit. I'm third gear. 4, 5, 6. So that was up to about 80 miles per hour, right? You can see that the shifts were fast, right? They were not instantaneous, and there was kind of like a jerk, right? But that's what makes it fun. I mean, it is fun. So do I regret getting an F1 transmission? No, I do not, because on the highway and in normal driving situations, even when I'm flooring it, it is still enjoyable. It is still enjoyable. You know, I'm not the best at driving a stick, right? So rev matching, heel toe, all that, I gotta say, I don't have to worry about. It does that for me. And, you know, when I'm driving around town with the wife, it's just easier. It's just easier. You don't always have to worry about it. I'll admit, it's not as fun, but it is easier, and it gives me the opportunity to really concentrate on putting my hands on the wheel and making sure that I'm actually properly driving this car. Let's turn. Now, do you want to daily drive this? No. I would not want to drive this to work and back. It's stuck in traffic every single day. No, I will not want to drive this. I will not want to drive this as a daily car, but as a weekend car, especially those of you guys that, you know, go to the track, or you have mountain roads, or you simply just want to drive it, you know, go to a nice restaurant with your wife or with your kids, this is perfect. This is perfect. And because this is 15 plus years old, the depreciation is gone. It's only going to appreciate in value now. And that's why 360 values have actually gone up over the years, not down. And that is why I still love this car. Teslas or Hellcats, SRTs, M-Series AMGs, all these modern sports cars, especially exotic cars, they depreciate like crazy. You don't have to worry about that in here. And those of you guys that like the attention, like getting looks, like getting thumbs up from people, you're not going to get more than this car, okay? Even modern sports cars, a lot of people drive M3s, M4s, M6s around. They don't get nearly as much look. So if you want the attention, this is also the car for you. And if you want that driving experience where you're driving something raw, okay, where it feels like a race car without actually being a race car, you get that driving experience where you get in and you feel almost like you're getting punished. Not to the point like a Dodge Viper, but you do feel like there's a challenge to it, right? You have to pay attention to the roads. You have to pay attention when you're driving. This Ferrari also gives it to you, which is why I just love this Ferrari. So do I regret getting an F1 gearbox in this 360? No, I do not one bit. Hopefully I responded to all of Sam's questions in regards to the buckling, the immobilizer, how the F1 transmission was shifting. Those are just things that go with the 360. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to learn more about my Ferrari 360s or just 360s in general, then make sure you check out my full review video, which is pinned to the comments below. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.